Welcome everybody. Today we'll be discussing the MIMO technical side of things. So it's a technical training. Really appreciate everybody being here. I'm just trying to see where is my little laser pointer. Let's just see if I can find it here. Come on. I'm seeing it. There we go. Guys can all see that. Perfect. But we're just going to jump in. I'm going to be discussing different ways of setting up the MIMO stations itself. So it's going to be standalone, and then how you can add it to different platforms and stuff like that. But we're not going to go too far down the technical side. That's why we have internal training, and we've got our e-learning platform that will be releasing tomorrow. That will be the 6th tomorrow. Yeah. 2022. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. So we're changing our training and learning platforms completely to make it more easier for you guys, more accessible. You can study and train from home and do your certification. And we also very soon will be opening up our internal training here at Hikvision. And there's going to be quite a lot more this year that we're going to be concentrating on helping you guys. Very soon, we'll also have more videos available for different technical things. But yeah, here we go. Let's see, there we go. All right. So today we'll be discussing a few different ways from the product introduction to the operation. And there's not going to be frequently asked questions because yeah, it's unnecessary. Right, so everybody is, well, if you've watched the previous videos before, if you're not, they are on YouTube. That will be Hikvision South Africa. So we have different products, different ranges. So from bigger projects to smaller ones, our different facial detection readers itself have different applications for different reasons. So if you have them on turnstiles, if you have it on maybe entrances, office areas, into a shop, and maybe if you wanted to do it on the reception desk to clock in, clock out, that kind of thing. So you have different models with different ways of picking up faces itself. So today we're going to be discussing mostly about the faces, not just the cards and the pins. Right, so yeah, we've got a normal setup. On this normal setup, as an example, we've got the facial recognition terminal itself. That's over here. You get the one with the little thermal imaging on the top. You got your fingerprint. It can also take the card as well. So your identification card, you can tap on it and it will open up the door. But obviously cards can be swapped out to someone else. So face is obviously the best way, the most secure way of making sure that it is the correct person. A lot of our, well, basically all our models on the terminals, you'll see there's two cameras. As we discussed in the past, I'm just quickly briefly going over it. It's got two cameras, so we use that for anti-spoofing. So you can't put a picture in front of the terminal and then it will not detect it. You need the 3D face model of the person. Up to 0.2 seconds per user of triggering it. You got that anti-spoofing, which is very important, but also you have multiple ways of adding it. So you can, if you are a bit more secured, you can put your face there, put your card or maybe your finger, and then only it will open up the door. So that makes life a little bit easier. You also have that reader, so if you need to put a pin in if you wanted to. And then obviously it will open up the mag lock, and all of this will be interacted to the LAN or through the Wi-Fi or through normal connections of going to your IVMS 400 AC. So it's obviously we're using the access control module to be able to access this. And you can also use HIK-Central, or you can just go through the browser if you really needed to. Depends on the model, obviously. So we can also do time and attendance. It's very easy to connect up and use the web interface and everything else. So it's very straightforward, like a lot of our products. So when it comes to the facial side itself, like I mentioned earlier, the anti-spoofing. So the algorithm of the anti-facing itself, the picking up the person's face is very accurate and it's very good. So it can be set as well. So this is very straightforward. You have your terminals, it will detect the face, it will use the algorithm itself, the deep learning algorithm, to be able to look at the 3D side of the forehead and the IR of the person's face. And that will determine if it is the correct person after you've obviously imported all the images of the person. My office has taken a very nice picture of me smiling with my face going, and it still picks up. So we did try it. Please don't laugh at me. But as an example, you have a normal one that's been pulled into face, and obviously then whatever's in the database, and it will clarify that it's the same person. So it needs to do that matching, and it's very good with that matching. So the similarity needs to be a certain percentage. So you can set it as well to say that the similarity needs to be above 80% or whatever the case is. Sometimes you have a mask on, or you have glasses, or you have a hat. Depends on whatever the application is. And then the security level of what the face needs to be. So it gives you that capability of adjusting it as well. So that's very nice, very easy. Right, so normal products itself, it sometimes gives you false reads where it will detect that it's a similar, so this is obviously a guy and that's obviously a lady, but you know, it's granting them access, whatever the case might be. And then you have somebody that's got a different angle of a face and obviously the portal of the face, and it will say it's not acceptable. So this way you can adjust it, like I mentioned earlier, on the web browser itself, or going through the HIK-Central side as well. You can get that capability to be able to adjust that settings on the smart linkage itself. So that is very important. So they call this the FIR or the FRR. So the terminals are specially designed to work with that much better. All right. So, okay. So we have normal time and attendance terminals itself. So there you need to connect up a USB, and then somebody needs to upload it, the information to the USB to get the report, whatever. So with the normal terminals, it's much better, because now you have still the time and attendance, and you can connect it up, like I mentioned earlier, with HIK-Central AC or IVMS AC. So it depends on whatever you are using. So that gives you the capability of adding a lot more, so you can see a lot more. So this picture doesn't show everything on it, but it's fine. So as you can see, obviously this is for single devices, this is for multiple purposes itself, and then obviously if you're using the cloud software, you are unlimited. So that makes life a lot better, especially for installer to be able to quickly add people. That makes life a lot easier. And nowadays you can take, like what the office did with me, they've taken pictures of my actual face with a mobile phone, and we added that picture obviously into the software to be able to say that I am that person. So you don't always need the terminal. There are other ways to be able to do that. All right. So next up is, as an example, you can also use, some people will say ISUP, others will say ISAP, other people will say ISUP. I honestly don't care, it's up to you, whatever you want to call it. So you can use the ISUP5, the new model itself on it, that interface. So the way that this basically works is very similar to the other products. And if you are familiar with it, you would understand this. But just to quickly go over it, so you can have a branch in Johannesburg, Durban, or Cape Town, and everything can be linked to it. So very importantly, you don't always need a static IP address at that premises. So sometimes a certain premises, like let's say example, Cape Town has no static IP address, and they're using a different ISP company with a SIM card for their data usage itself, for their internet access. So now with any SIM card, it's kind of tricky because it's very complicated and very difficult to get that permission and to get it granted. With any of our SIM card service providers in South Africa, is to make the IP address for that SIM card static. So they won't allow you to. It's a very expensive way, and for a single SIM card, or even 10 SIM cards, or even 100 SIM cards, I would not recommend it. So what we do is obviously on your platform itself, whether it's HIK-Central, HIK AC, or it's going to be IVMS. On that computer, on that server, you need to make sure that that server has a static IP address. So you cannot use a SIM card like data usage. You need to use an actual static IP address internet connection for your server or wherever that computer is, where those things need to be transmitted through the internet to link it up. Reason being, you use your static IP address itself to assign, to set up everything, and then your verification code as well. So like I said, it's very similar to all the other products that we use, from cameras to alarms. It works the same principle. So once you set up your static IP address, then you can pull it into your device, you put your verification code, your username, password, and then on your device itself, whatever platform that you are using, it will be able to use that. So that's your normal dynamic name itself, your public IP address. For those of you that don't know what that is, right, very straightforward. If you go to your computer and you go to Google and you type in "what's my IP address," it will show you what your IP address is for your internet. If you go and you write that down and you go to your router or your internet and you power it down, wait 10 seconds, power it back up again, and then you go do the same search on Google, if the number has changed, it means that you do not have a static IP address. So you have to ask your service provider if they can create a static IP address, a domain name for your site. So a lot of the ISP companies will create that number and make sure that number stays that way. You do have to pay a certain fee. Some companies charge a once-off fee. Other companies will charge a monthly fee like $50 or $100 or whatever the case is to have a static IP address. I love static IP addresses because I can always use my own internal static IP address that's going out to the internet for any other devices remotely to connect to my systems or my server. So very important. Not just that, once you are done pulling it in, you can also pull it to your ERP software. That is for your HR management to be able to do your calculations of your time, what time you arrived at work, how many hours you've worked, how many hours you've worked overtime. I don't get paid overtime. That's sad. Then it calculates your salary for you. So yes, that is definitely a nice way of using a third-party program to be able to pull it in. And HIK-Central also has their own platform, and HIK Pro Connect has their own platform to help your HRs with that setup. Right, let's move along. Then there's two ways of connecting these, either through not just your network or Wi-Fi, but you also have the RS or the weekend site. So a lot of the guys are a little bit confused with it. There are different ways of wiring. So one is hand in hand, one is point to point, and so on and so on. There's different ways of different products that we're using that. So obviously with RS, we can go up to at least, you know, rule of thumb, at least 800 meters. So obviously it depends on if you are running your cables. A lot of the guys are not using Milo cable, they're using Cat5 or Cat6. Then obviously depends on the amount of bends and how many times the guy has stretched that network cable to get it through the conduit pipe or whatever the case is. So obviously that will play a role, so keep that in mind. Not just that, also on the weekend side, you are limited to 80 meters. And again, it comes down to the same principle. Yes, that's in normal terms. In the best situation where it's like open, there's no electrical cables, there's no interference. So obviously keep that in mind as well when it comes to that. A lot of people don't even know this, that when you take a normal IP camera and you connect it to a PoE switch, your distance is normally 100 meters. And then a lot of people will say, yeah, it depends on the different amounts of bands and stuff like that. Then we look at 80 meters. With Hikvision and our technology, we have taken a roll of Cat5, a big 300-meter roll, smacked it down on the table, crimped the RJ45 on the one side, crimped it on the other side. We didn't even take it out at all. We connected up the camera and connected straight to a PoE, and with our PoE network switches, you can do up to 300 meters itself. Sorry, my apologies. Somebody is giving me a call. Let me just kill that. There we go. Okay. So it gives you that capability of running it much further than anything. Obviously, if it's on a roll on a table, it will give you that 300 meters. Yes, it's impressive. But when you are running it next to power or close to power, and obviously different interference, but you can always go and say, you know what, at least I've got 150 meters to work with. If you're using the Hikvision cable, and if you are using a Hikvision switch. So keep that in mind as well. Then on the RS side, it gives you the capability of using cards, the people IDs, the fingerprints, the faces, etc., etc. And on the Wigan side, you are limited to using just the card number, and then obviously the binary numbers from 0 to 1. So to give you that information itself. So yeah, obviously RS is way better for that information. Right, so over here on the RS side, if you are doing the RS side, just keep note that you have that capability of having up to 8 addresses, and that's obviously going to be for 1 to 4 doors. So you can assign and set up and change your settings to what you need it to be. So you can address whatever that is going to be for your access control, and it's going to be RS number 2. Then you can select that itself, and then you can assign that. So I can't see my little picture. You can definitely change it to whatever module that you want. There's no need to change the bit rate. I wouldn't recommend that. I would keep everything normal, and then obviously you can say the output needs to be card number or obviously person ID, whatever you are using. Then on the Wigan side, it's very straightforward. You have just go into Wigan and you select whatever you want for the input or output and what Wigan platform you're going to be using. So either it's going to be Wigan 26 or it's going to be Wigan 34. So it depends on how you do your setup and what you need it for. All right. On the next one, right, so you can also connect up your video intercom and connect it to your HIK Connect for the client itself. So your terminal can be standalone, taken to your switch, your normal switch, whatever it is, and it can go to an indoor station inside the building. It can go to a master station for the reception area. Not just that, the nice thing about this that a lot of people don't know is you can have different stations, indoor stations at maybe different office areas. So once somebody brings a parcel, they can notify and it will send it through. If it's been registered under your name, it will notify your terminal, your indoor station at your desk, if I can put it that way. Or the reception person can use the master station and still contact you to let you know that, hey, your parcel is here at the door. You can obviously also pull in the video image to record that terminals itself on your NVR, so you can select a channel to be able to record that. So every time there's a face, it will keep it in the NVR, so which is a nice feature. Obviously, you can connect it to the cloud, and then once you connect it, you have remote access control to that, so you can open up the door, close the door. So it gives you that capability because it's got the built-in capability on the network platform under the normal platform itself, so you can select either the normal way or the HIK Connect. All right. Then, well, I went too fast there. Sorry, guys. Then this is just a normal connection way. So it's also you can select what you would like for your application as an intercom, like I mentioned. Not just that, also you can change the key, the shortcut key that's on the bottom of the device itself. We'll go through that now. So you can change it to whatever setting that you need it for. I think we can, no, it's not going to go there. Is it going to go there? Let me remove, damn, man, that worked very well. Let me take away my thingy. Let's see if I can click on it. Doesn't work. So, any case, we're going to skip that little part. The only thing is there is just a little diagram of how you can set that up as well. But obviously that's going down the rabbit hole and we don't want to do that at all. Just going to put the phone back. There we go. Can I see the time? Yes, I can see the time. All right. So next one. If you had to set it up in different applications for the terminals as standalone, very straightforward. You can have it at a door area. Let me put my laser back. Sorry, guys. Pointy. There we go. So you can put it at a door area itself. So once the access control has been set up there, you can have the different models that you need. So this specific one is the anti-spoofing, 2 cameras, and it's got the thermography side of the thermo lens on top of it. So it will take the temperature of the person and will not grant them access to go in if their temperature is too high because of COVID. Not because they're ugly, no. Right, so you put the terminal up, it can go through your network, it can also go to the security guard's station as a MIMO terminal, so they can also see what's happening, and it will be pulled into your software, go to your NVR, and then from that it will go to the server, to cloud, or to an ARC system, or whatever the case, whatever way that you are using it as an example. So very straightforward. You can also have it on the stand. It looks very pretty. You can bolt the stand down to the ground. This makes it nice, especially for entrance areas, for malls or shopping areas. So it depends on where your application is. I know there's a lot of businesses that don't have their terminals outside, but only on the inside at the reception. So it's nice. It's the right angle, and we'll talk about the angles now. Or you can have it on a desk area where the reception lady will say, please check in to say that you are here. Or from our normal terminal side, so from our tripod to our flappy doors ones to the turnstiles, you can have the terminals. At our showroom, we have it on our turnstile as an example, and will be very soon, I think, hopefully. I will do time and attendance on that, so whoever visits the showroom will be able to see the time and attendance in action. So very soon, hopefully, if my head office approves. Right, let's go to the next one. All right, so when it comes to the installation side, very basic way of installing it. So a lot of people get this wrong, and I don't understand why. Yeah, so especially at complex areas, they get it wrong completely. You need to look at the sunlight, you need to look at the right angles. So obviously the sun comes up in one side of the province in the world, wherever you are, or property angle, and the sun sets on the other side. So it depends on where that is. That's how you need to set up your terminal. So if the sun goes up and you know the sun is going to set in the afternoon, don't go and have your terminal facing the sunlight itself. So when your people get to the complex area and they want to scan the QR code, or they want to present their face or something, then the terminal's not going to see it because of the reflection. It is a problem. And the same way is if you're trying to show your friend on your mobile phone about this funny picture that you just took of your another friend, as an example, something embarrassing, you cannot show him when it comes to normal sunlight. So you have to go into a shaded area and then you're like, come check, look at the photo, he was drunk. So it's the same principle. So the height also plays a different role. It depends on who's in the company. Some people in the company are very short people. Other people are very tall people. I'm in between, I'm just right. So it depends on, so make sure that the installation is done correctly when it comes to the height of that. If it is on a table, the angle, the degree angle, obviously needs to be set as well. So the best is to stand at the table, set it until you can see the proper face. So it's very, very common sense. Then it comes to the distance itself. So it needs to be at least 1/2 meter away, the person. So sometimes people still get this wrong and they go standing right in front of it going, you know, and then it's not designed for that. So keep that in mind as well. Maybe put some stickers there. The terminal can pick up from a further distance. When I get to our office, I start walking down the passage side towards our office, and even halfway through, that's almost like more than 2 meters, then it already detects my face and then it releases the door, but I'm not at the door as yet. So that also plays a role. So it works very well. But this is obviously rule of thumb. And then obviously also try and keep it away from doors up to 3 meters and windows. And then the next one is also keep it away from any sharp light area up to 2 meters. So don't go have a floodlight or spotlight facing straight into it. You are asking for trouble like any normal camera would do. So keep that in mind. Right. Then I'm just going to go basically over this, the QR code. I don't think I need to really go into far detail. So you can, from HIK-Central or from IVMS or your HIK-Connect, you can send that QR code to somebody. You can email it to them, and you can send them a code as well. So when they get to the terminal, they can use that QR code to be scanned, and the terminal will grant them access to open up the door, or depends on what you've set it up for, it will send you a notification that the person is at the door, you need to meet them downstairs. So especially for courier companies, this is ideal. So if there's certain company that needs to send packages or parcels from one company to another one, and there's obviously a lot of staff members in that building, if it has been assigned to you, then you can create a QR code for that delivery company or that delivery services and say, here is my QR code. Please, when you're at the door, scan it and then or present it, then it will be able to notify you that your parcel is at the door and you can go and collect it, which is a much better way instead of waiting or for the reception lady to be able to figure out who the Uber Eat food or Uber Foods is for, because that's always a problem in our department for lunch. No one knows whose lunch is whose lunch. So if I get downstairs, I just take what I can find. So anyway, right. So the way that you would connect that up is very straightforward. Obviously, like I mentioned, it gives you that capability. You can enable or disable it. So as you can see, if you go into the basic settings, you go into the key functions. So on that shortcut keys itself, you can either enable it, use a password or no password, or just a password, or enable it. So on the terminal itself, you'll see that little QR code is there, so you can use that capability and then obviously scan the QR code or present the QR code. So depends on your application. And when you do capture the person's information, the QR code is also there. So it gives you that capability. You can also, on the HIK-Central side, you can ask for what is the QR code for this specific employee or this person or the staff member, and it will show you. You can download it, you can email it. So very straightforward. Again, there's a little PDF about that, but we're not going to go into detail. And we know that it's not the PDF little button here doesn't want to work on mine. Right. Okay, so we got a video here. No, we don't have a video. Sorry, my apologies. So this is quite a bit, but we've gone through this with our previous videos regarding the cloud and attendance. So very straightforward. The company has a lot of staff. They are looking for an installer that does Hikvision as an example. So once they get that, the guy can basically set it up with the cloud, put the time and attendance module there. So once the terminal has been installed and the memo is there and everything is working, it can be configured and set up by the HIK Pro Connect person. So that's why that is very important. It's not for the end user. Please take note that HIK Pro Connect is not for the end user. It's for the installer or installing company to able to have the capabilities of installing and setting up everything and then sending it through to the different departments. So whether it's the HIK-Central for HR or whether it's the end user itself through HIK Connect. HIK Connect is for the end user. HIK Pro Connect is for the installer or installing companies. And HIK-Central is for the monitoring company or HR or the big bosses to be able to monitor whatever is happening or change anything. All right, so very straightforward, very easy. And the nice thing is, because of that capability for HR or whatever the case is, for any person, for any technical manager, you can have the GPS location clock in. So you don't have to be at the office to clock in. You can also clock in from home if you are working from home because of COVID. So we've gone through this before. Right. How's our time looking now? Oof. All right, the technical wiring side. Okay, so I had this discussion also with somebody yesterday, but there are different ways of doing it. So some of the terminals will have a built-in relay, and some of them will have that transistor connection itself. So what we call like a normal connection itself. So it's not a relay, it's more like just a diagram wire that's going through the system. So whichever way that you want to explain it, but most of it's got a built-in relay. So built-in relay, very straightforward. You have your positive and negative, and then you have your common, normally closed and normally open. So it depends on, but on the terminal itself, you have different output, those little wires that you get with it, that little plug. It has that capability. You can run whatever cable that you need. My recommendation is obviously to use a decent cable like Cat6 or Cat5, especially if it's decent runs. So it just makes life a lot easier for that kind of a capability. So I would normally run 2 network cables for that environment. If you are very fancy, you can go with the more expensive cables, but it's up to you. And obviously from your maglock, you need a decent 2.5 copper cable for that connection. I have used other cables in the past. Sometimes it works, sometimes there's interference or there's issues. Keep that in mind as well. So keep to the norm of the standard. So once you have your connection, you'll supply your power and your positive and negative to the device. On your device itself, to open up and close the relay, there's multiple ways of connecting this, by the way. So most of the ways will be the normally closed, because you want the contact itself to have permanently power, and then always make sure that you have backup power supply. So wherever your power supply is coming from, whether you are using our one or a different brand, you put your power box there that provide your 12 volt itself, and it's got a built-in battery. So if there's load sharing, the door will still be working. And a normal 7 amp hour battery will last for quite some time on the maglock. So keep that in mind as well. And then obviously you have a button on the inside to be able to trigger to go out of the premises, right? So very straightforward, very easy to use. On this diagram, I changed this a bit just for today's purposes. There's different ways of connecting it, but if you would connect normally, you have your power source going towards your maglock. That would be your 12 volt itself. So can I write on this? I can't write on this, but I can, but it's going to look terrible. But anyway, so the best way that what we recommend is obviously not to run your positive through the relay of it itself. There are 2 different ways of connecting. Like I said, this depends on your model, but just check it. My normal way of connecting would be the positive going straight to the positive of the maglock. Your negative will go towards the common of your terminal, and then out of your terminal, your normally closed contact will go as the white and yellow wire going straight to the negative of it. Reason being, if you take a negative into your common, if you know how a relay works on the inside, you have the little arm, and then on both ends you have like normally open or normally closed. So it will decide what it needs. If you go and turn that around, where you put the negative on the normally closed, then the normally open is not going to receive anything, so it's not going to pull it through. So it depends on how your connection is. So normally it would be better to have it from your common as your negative going in, as you can see here, and then obviously your negative coming out of the device as normally closed to go to your device. If it needs to be normally open for whatever reason, if it's maybe one of those pin locks, then it's a different story, right? Or maybe a striker lock, normally open. So it depends on what your application is, right? So obviously from there on, you take your power and series it towards the next point. And from that point itself, you can also say, okay, let's take it back into the device to say if the wires, if the doors open or close. So you would be able to see that as well. So that's obviously on the wiring diagram. Each unit comes with a wiring diagram paper, and each door, maglock or striker lock comes with a wiring diagram. And yeah, if you get confused, you need a bit more training. Right, so this is the way that they connect it up. As you can see, obviously they've changed it around where you know, the negative is being fed through, but in any case, so yeah, it depends on your application. But now this is very confusing, but anyway, you got your power source going towards those areas, going back into the maglock. So you can connect up internal, your entrance side and your exit side. but it's actually your entrance and entrance. So that's coming from outside towards the door. And then if you're leaving the building on the inside, going towards the exit door. So then you can use the same mag lock, and it's very straightforward. It comes down to the same configuration. Right, I hope that helps. If there's any questions, please put them in the Q&A, and as soon as we're done, we'll go through that. But in any case, so same goes for the RS side. Your RS, obviously, you're going to put in your network cable so you can have network accessibility towards it. But you take your yellow, which is your positive on your RS, and your blue as your negative, rule of thumb, and you take it towards from one terminal to another one, and then from that main terminal you can obviously pull through your wires and then take it directly to your mag lock. So if you put your tag here, it will release it. If you put your tag there, it will release it, and so on and so on. But I don't think you're going to need more than 2 at a single door. Right. On your Wigan side, straightforward, again, same principle as what the RS is. Obviously, your wires are just shorter and your information is going to be shorter. So you're not going to get that who's the person exactly. You're just going to get the card numbers. You're not going to get all the information that you need because it's Wigan. So once you connect up with the Wigan itself, it's the green wire for W0 and W1 is white. So in majority of Wigan wiring, this is the same color coding, all right? And then obviously, again, the relay itself has the same colors and goes straight to the door contact, so it gives you that capability. So straightforward. All right, now we're going to add a user. So as you can see, there's that QR code. As you can see at the bottom, it's showing, everything is still showing. You can call the operator if you wanted to, or put it in your code if you need be. So once you want to add a user to get into the terminal settings itself, you need to put your finger on top and then slide it to the left or the right, whichever way that you need to, and it will ask you what is the master code of to log in as an admin person. So if you want to log in, you can use your face as an admin person to log in, or you can use, your card or your finger as an example. So if you wanted to, you click on the lock, then it presents the PIN that you have to type in, so the password. Right, once you're inside it, very straightforward, you go to user. This is on the terminal, guys. It's on the actual terminal. So you go to user. From user, it gives you the capability to be able to add the people's faces. So obviously you're going to enter the person's name and stuff like that. You're going to all select add. Then you're going to put in what the person's name is and stuff, or their employee number, their name, whatever their card is. So once you select on the card, it will give you options. So some terminals can read the cards. Other times you need a card reader to be able to read it. Same with the fingerprint. Some terminals will be able to read the terminal, use the reader as a terminal to be able to read the fingers. Other times you need a fingerprint reader. Depends on your application and the models, etc., etc. And you can say that yes, you want a password, or no, only face. So it gives you that capability, and then you can say whatever your setup needs to be for that specific person. Do they need to be admin? Are they just a staff member and they can only open the front and back door, but they can't get to every office has a little room where they keep the snacks in, so that you can change it to say that they're not allowed to go into that little area for the snacks. They put that on mine. Anyways, so if you add a person's face, very simple, it's going to give you a little cut out picture of where you need to put the person's face to be able to read it. And then some models will automatically detect the face and then take the snapshot. Some you have to manually just click the button, take a picture, and then it will take the picture. So very straightforward, and then you save it. Once it's saved, it will show you that the person's face with a little smiley face is added. If the person's fingerprint has been added, it will show you it's got a little fingerprint there that it's been added. So it gives you that capability, and then you can assign whatever permissions that you need to assign. Right. The ACS side of things. Right. So this gives you that capability of granting whatever permissions for whichever door they need to. So very simple. This gives you that capability to say that you need to either use your finger and your face to unlock the door, or you need to use your face and the card to unlock the door, or you need to use your card and your finger to unlock the door. So it depends on. But like we mentioned, most companies, most places now would like to use the faces because it's more accurate, and we don't want to touch with our fingers anymore because of COVID. So yeah, this gives you that capability of going into it and in setting up whatever your application is and whatever the duration is to be for the door to be open. If you want the door to be remain closed, or do you want the door to remain open? Again, depends on your needs. All right. Then on this section side itself, so yeah, we've basically got the settings that we can change the facial detection, and we can change the level of it, and etc. etc. So you can enable wine dynamic. You can also enable if it is a dark environment area. Is it going to show you? There we go. You can obviously read. It's going to be able to use the ECO settings itself. So once you've enabled that for dark environment or low light environment, you can do that. So you can also set the level of what the security needs to be for the face, and obviously what the security level for the face detection needs to be, what the percentage needs to be. So you can adjust that according to your staff at your office and obviously play around. So it gives you that capability of setting all those things. So very straightforward. All right. Okay, yeah, we're going to go through a little video quickly. I don't think we're going to have time, but okay. We're just going to skip a few little slides with that. Let me just, there we go. Okay. That didn't work, did it? I'm going to have to get rid of my laser for that. Okay. Okay, there we go. So the video is starting. So again, like we mentioned, it depends on the company. So we're just going to skip ahead and obviously connect it to the cloud, have your HIK Connect, your HIK Pro Connect person, whoever the installer is, and gives you that capability in a time of attendance. Right. Come on. Move along. There we go. Too much. All right. So straightforward plug in. This is one of those ones that you can use on a reception table. Power it up, obviously 12 volt, put in your network cable, and then power up the device. So you have to basically authenticate the device first. So you put in your password that it needs for the master and select your language. Then if it's an indoor-outdoor station, and then you can say whatever protocol it needs to be able to. So you can select all. It's very quick, this video. And then you can say, then you can start adding your persons. If you don't want to add your persons, you can log in and then go through your configurations, set up your network, change your IP address, make it a static IP address if you need to, or connect to the Wi-Fi if you've got a Wi-Fi module. So it gives you that capability. Enable your HIK Connect. And this video is going very fast, and I'm just going to skip a few things. All right, so it will show you that connection. I'll go back. All right, so once it connects with HIK Connect and once your internet connection is set up, it will show you that little icon on that side. There we go, it's enabled, and basically that's it. So very straightforward, very easy. Okay, here's another one. So the same way, this is going to be for the AC side to be able to set up the normal way of setting. So I'm going to actually go through this one quickly. We've got a bit of time on that. So you log into the device. Once you've logged in, come on, buddy. Right. You can skip that. Set up. Okay, sorry, my apologies. The video is really crappy. Let me just see. Yeah, the video is really crappy. Let's see if I can pause it somewhere where we can get to that part. Okay, there we go. Let's go a little bit back. All right, so you have that settings itself. Oh, you can see my mouse. That's nice. It's a finger. Yeah, it's a finger. It's not a pointy. So you can set up the IP address. You can set up the port. Then you can set up your device ID and your key that's from your main place itself. So from HIK Central or from your IVMS for 200. So it depends on whatever you've set up there. You're going to put in your information like any normal ISUP would do. All right. So once you've done that, obviously then it will be able to pull it through into your HIK-Central or whatever platform that you are using. All right. Let's go through the next one. Come on, skip a bit. Ports. Your verification key. Okay, so the videos are just terrible. Just terrible. You'll see now. There we go. It's going green. So it will come better. There we go. It's better now. So obviously you can add your device on your HIK-Central. Once you've added, it works with any other normal access control or any other way that you get that capability of changing things. So yeah, you will change it, set it up. So once you put in obviously that authentication key number that you set up for, the password to log in, and obviously give it a proper name, real proper name. Once you've done that, oh, there goes the video. Terrible again. Oh, my soul. All right, so you can store the pictures on your HIK-Central, and then once there, then you can have it connected and you'll see that it will go online. So I'm just gonna skip that because he's just clicking. All right. Okay, so that's very basic. I just want to check. There we go. All right, so on your video intercom itself on the platform, it gives you the capability of changing those setups there that you need it for. So it depends on the room, it depends on what the call center, it depends on if you want the doorbell. So like we said, you can set up what you need to. Please take note that if you want to call, you cannot call, press the call button and call the app and the operator. You can do one thing at a time. So we'll go through that just now. There's no video here. Okay, so yeah, you can see you can tick the boxes through the browser itself. So very straightforward, depends on what you need for that button. And on the material, if you do download the material, you can click on those and they give you step-by-step little guide, like individually, step-by-step, how to set that up if you need to go a bit more into technical detail regarding that. But yeah, so here's a little nice video that we will show quickly. We've got some time, so excuse the noise. There we go. Increase the volume a bit. All right, so obviously you can call through, and the video got stuck, and the video is terrible. Sorry guys, I will try and make sure that they send me the videos instead of putting it in PowerPoints, so we can show you a bit better regarding that. All right, but just to pause there quickly, very straightforward. So obviously from your outdoor terminal, you can obviously call into an indoor station, or you can call the operator itself, or you can call the mobile device, whichever way that you need it to be set up. And then from there, you can push the key button or the key button to release the striker lock or the door or the mag lock or whatever the case might be, whatever your installation is. So very straightforward. This is a standalone system, and it can be pulled in by using none of these, just by using the app, or you can have the standalone system straight to that. So you don't need an access control system. You can use this as like an access control system straight to the terminal as what you would normally do. Right. So very straightforward, like I mentioned, terminal, going straight to your network, and you can select which way you would like it to be as a video intercom. So this is another little video just to quickly show you for the HIK Connect side of calling. So it's a very short video. It hopefully won't get stuck. It's getting stuck there. But I'm sure you guys understand. All right, so very straightforward. You call, the operator will pick up, and then you can release or open the door. It makes life a lot easier. So gives you that capability. Hello, there we go. There goes the video, in any case. Let's see, yeah, there you saw the video. Don't know why they do that, but in any case. Not just that, on the HIK Connect also you have remote control access to be able to look at the camera from the terminal. You can also basically use the remote configuration to be able to unlock, lock the door, or keep the door open. So it depends on what your setup is. And not just that, you can also pull the logs of who went in, who went out, etc., etc. So from your mobile device, which is awesome. Right. I'm not going to go too far down this details. So just straightforward, as you know, on the HIK Connect Professional itself, this grants you the access basically for the general use of the access control of the terminal, to be able to add it to your access control, add the person, add their scheduling time, what time they're allowed to be there, what time they're allowed to unlock the door for them or not. And then obviously adding what type of level of access they've got. And then also you can also do the troubleshooting regarding, you know, whatever the person is, or the door issues itself. So, and also you can use it through the platform to be able to check in what happens with the staff and where they were and what door they released and etc., etc. So very straightforward. There's a video about it, but we all know how that's going to go. So yeah. Then on your access control itself, so HIK-Central for the alarm notification. So you can connect up the alarm notification. So if someone opens up the door, it will alert you for the events. So there's a lot more towards that. But just take note, it gives you the capability, it grants you that information or that events itself. So keep that in mind. And then the next one, there's the video about it. So yeah. So for any of you, we do have it on our platform where you can download this information. Right. And then on the HIK-Central Professional itself, also you can do the time and attendance, like I mentioned earlier. So you have your checking sections, your rules itself that you needed to be set up for, your set up your overtime, your leave, your whatever the template that you need to set up. If it is a company where there's day shift and night shift, you can put up your shift hour times itself. Your records will be there for checking everything, and you can pull your reports as well. So HQ can pull the reports to say whatever time that you've been. So for some of you that don't know this little setup here, if you're working for a company and you arrive on site, it will pick up your face or your, you know, whichever authentication that you are using. It will tell HR that you are that time at work, and then when you are leaving, it will tell HR that that's the time that you've left. So there is time and attendance as well. So you have, you know, arriving at work and then leaving work. Then you have tea time, or tea time in, tea time out, and then you have lunch out and lunch in. You know, whatever the case is. So it depends on how your setup is and what you need it for. But not just that, if you are a salesperson, you're working on the road, it gives you that capability of using your HIK Connect app, putting your face to your phone, and grants you access to say that, okay, you are at this GPS location, you are at the client, and you are on site, and you are clocking in, you're at work. Or if you are working from home because your office is flooded with COVID, or someone had the flu or the poops, then you guys are working at home, then it gives you the capability of checking in from home to say that, listen, I'm behind my desk, I'm starting to do my work. All right. And then we also have a little video for that. No. Right. There we go. Thank you very much, guys. I hope it helped a bit. And then obviously, as I mentioned as before, we do have in-house training, and we have our e-learning platform that we are launching tomorrow, a whole new way of doing training and training people and doing the test and studying and helping you to study and etc. and sharing information. So yeah, so very nice, very easy. So that's it. Right, after this, we'll ask the questions, and then thank you.